And with all that being said, Gavin, are you ready to get into the craziness, get into the muck, in the mire, get into the gutter like we always do about this time? I couldn't believe it. This was the middle of the night, guys. Let's start setting the table there. These tweets that you're about to see from Anna Kasparian, they go deep into the middle of the night, right? I'm not sure where they begin. I'm not sure what time the first tweet is launched, but I know the last tweet was launched at like 1:58 in the morning my time, which is at least midnight her time, just about.
Yeah. So this was pretty crazy, and I think it's probably a good idea actually to start with the Emma Vigeland tweet, which Anna responded to, that started this all. We showed it to you and we talked about it on our last live stream, I believe. But Emma Vigeland just coming out here with a banger alliteration. Gotta love the performative piousness of polymarket populists coming for ally and movement partner Francesca, because she posted Jank's own words coming from his own mouth. Go back to your roots, ranking celebrity camel toes, get your clicks. That way, the rest of us oppose, as the rest of us oppose fascism. Sorry, but yeah, this was such a banger tweet from Emma. Got a lot of likes. But again, this is where it all just started. But Anna responded. Let's take a look at this. She says, I remember Emma telling me verbatim, I never have to work a day in my life if I don't want to, because of how wealthy her family is. Your mom threw a nice little fundraiser for Senator Gillibrand in 2018, right?
19.
Sorry, 19, right? I get why you're so attached to a party that fucked over the working class over and over again.
Also, I've investigated this. According to an anonymous source that I have, that Kristen Gillibrand fundraiser was in 2014, so over a decade ago. Do you think that you have any responsibility to what fundraisers your parents attend 11 years ago? Totally ridiculous to bring that up.
Even if it had been last year,
yeah,
Emma Vigeland would have no responsibility for it whatsoever. I mean, who cares what her parents do? You know what I'm saying? Like, unless she's part of her parents' family business, it's not really all that relevant, in my opinion. We're not out here talking about what Anna Kasparian's dad does or her mom does. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really expect her to understand what it's like to live in a neighborhood that's been overrun with criminals due to policies she preaches in the name of gaining social capital. So we're all supposed to believe that Emma Vigeland is living in a mansion and Anna Kasparian is living in the slum, on the street, in the block across the train tracks or something. Emma Vigeland would have no idea the daily reality that Anna experiences.
It's so crazy and it's so dishonest because both of these people live in quite safe neighborhoods and quite safe environments. Okay, I've walked all over Brooklyn and I've walked all over Los Angeles. Okay, I've never had a second thought in my entire life. Both those places have been gentrified to all fuck. And I know somebody's gonna go, oh yeah, there's still real tough parts of South Central Los Angeles, bro. You ever walked down Crenshaw Boulevard at the wrong time? That's not where Anna lives. So don't show me a fucking address in Los Angeles, California, where it's like really fucking hot to trot and hard out. Okay, we constantly will show you guys that whether it's Brooklyn, whether it's Los Angeles, whether it's Seattle, wherever you live that's making a bunch of content about left-wing shit, it's not as rough and tumble as it is in Kansas City. And Gavin and I never fear for our safety when we go outside. We walk around all kinds of neighborhoods, the historic Northeast, Indian Mount, North Indian Mount. These are neighborhoods where you're supposed to not be able to just walk around. We love the architecture there. Gavin and I will go for 3-4 hour long walks after the show sometimes, just exploring the old houses. Some of them are abandoned. Some of them still have families living in them. It's supposed to be a horrible neighborhood. Gavin and I assure you, live way closer to crime and gun violence and all kinds of the hysterical shit that Anna is LARPing about than either Anna or Emma Vigeland, and we're total authorities to speak on it. And I'll throw one more thing in there. My mom has been to all kinds of fucking ungodly fundraisers, okay? She works for a Republican senator from Kansas, Jerry Moran. Her and I don't talk much, but if you want to start casting stuff, like that would be like making me responsible for some crazy shit that my mom did in 2014. I guarantee you she probably supported all kinds of ridiculous hokum. You know what I mean? But I would have nothing to do with it, just like Emma has nothing to do with her mom's Kristen Gillibrand support.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally irrelevant, but we'll get back to that in a second. Let's just read the rest of this real quick. So Fran did a hatchet job on Jank, even though he was kind enough to waste his time going on her show in the name of openness and understanding. I knew he was making a mistake. These people aren't interested in building any coalitions. They're not open to understanding anything. They don't give a shit about winning policy goals. Literally, the worst thing Cenk ever did was open up the company to these people. They came in, leached off of what he built, and turned on him for clout the first second they could. Also, tell me, Emma, since taking a sponsor is so unacceptable to you and the 4-person company you work for, how many of the dozens of employees at TYT should Cenk lay off to appease your judgmental ass? Tell us. So there's so much to unpack here, and we could probably spend the next hour going line by line. What I do think is crazy, though, here is basically an admission. How many dozens of employees at TYT should Cenk lay off to appease your judgmental ass? So basically what they're admitting there is they need the poly market money in order to not go bankrupt, or at least that's the excuse she's making. TYT is literally in such a bad place financially that, according to Anna, if we're to believe her, the poly market sponsorship is the only thing preventing them from literally going bankrupt. That's what's paying the employees, which is an incredible sign of desperation. That means they knew how bad it would look, how compromised it would make them appear, yet they took it anyway because seemingly that was the only option. Do you take that the same way, or do you think that's just a total excuse, Zach?
Well, I think it's both, right? I think they hired so many people because they were way too proud of themselves because they got the $20 million from Jeffrey Katzenberg and they overexpanded. I thought that Sam Seder actually did an excellent job talking about why Tim Pool would be broke if it wasn't for Russian money, because you have a main show that does really well. And then he's like, oh, and then you want a sports show, and then you want a movie show, and you want a show that focuses on this and that. And you want to run an empire now, and you're a media organization. And he was like, and you don't understand that you just have an audience of people that want to watch your show. He was like, people want to watch our show. They watch the Majority Report. He was like, they don't want to watch a bunch of other things. That's actually really astute and smart observation of Sam, right? I think it's why the Majority Report has had longevity. I think Kyle Klinsky's had longevity because he understands what his audience wants, and he, makes that one thing. He doesn't over expand, right? So I think part of it was the hubris that they were going to continue to have exponential growth forever, right? I don't think that they realized how tethered to the Bernie movement their success was. And then on top of that, yes, they got to the point where they had so many people, 75 employees, which I've heard a lot of people who have worked at TYT and people who have worked around TYT really, really speculate that 75 number doesn't exist anymore, that was their all-time peak of employees, and now it's probably half of that. But of course, they could only pay even those, couple dozen employees with the money from Polymarket because they're just not generating revenue to sustain it, guys. You guys, I don't know if people fully appreciate how much money your show has to be making to run a network, right? Gavin and I, over the course of a whole year, if we did extremely well, we would still never have the money to ethically hire somebody else, right? It just wouldn't be in there. Even as proud as we are of how far we've come, even with all of the benefits that we've experienced, it would not be in the cards for us to go out there to get an employer identification number, to hire somebody, to get them health insurance, on all of that stuff, right? You have to be massive to hire one employee. To have 2 dozen, 3 dozen people that you have to pay, they would have to be getting tons of memberships. They would have to be doing tons of, views on their channel. They would have to have a massive Patreon or donation thing that they absolutely do not have nowadays. So of course they're sucking from the tit of Polymarket because they have no other option, saying, no, it's humiliating.
Yeah. No, it's incredible that you would make that admission, at least in my opinion. Obviously most shows don't require corporate sponsorships from horrifically unethical companies like Polymarket to pay their employees, those that at least identify as progressive. So that's pretty funny. I also just think it's beyond ridiculous, petty, unprofessional, whatever you want to call it, to bring this up. Emma and Francesca have a political disagreement with me, so now I'm going to bring up your family wealth and the fact that your mom threw a Democratic fundraiser in 2019 or something, which is again like 5 years ago, and according to Zach, it might have even been in 2014, which is even longer. That's like over a decade ago now. But again, it's like, who fucking cares? How is this relevant? I mean, it clearly didn't stop Cenk from hiring her. It didn't stop you and Cenk from having her on the network, the fact that she came from that environment. So it wasn't like discrediting then. It wasn't discrediting when she was generating profit for the Young Turks. Now that she left the Young Turks, it's somehow relevant to bring up the fact that she comes from a place of relative privilege. Like, who gives a fuck? How does this matter? Is it reflecting in her coverage? I don't think so. She's clearly more progressive than her parents are. I don't hear Emma Vigeland out here advocating for Senator Gillibrand. Of course not. And it wasn't that long ago that Anna Kasparian shared Emma's assessment or her analysis of the situation being that Democrats are the lesser of two evils. That's basically what Emma thinks, that Democrats are the lesser of two evils, right? That they're obviously in massive need of reform. We need to take over that party. We need to reform it basically from the ground up. She's not a defender of the corporate Democratic order. That's why she supported Bernie Sanders. But I don't see her out here acting like people like Senator Gillibrand are the way to go. That's the way forward for the Democratic Party. I just don't see that. So again, it just seems totally irrelevant. It seems like a smear to bring this up. I don't understand how this is anything other than just petty, useless garbage.
It totally is. And on top of the petty, useless garbage, she's going to level some downright lies. And also, Fran did a hatchet job on Cenk. No, she didn't. She had him on her show like a fucking grown-up and leveled some serious criticisms at him. Excuse me. You know what I mean? She said, hey, why are you taking this pivot? And then they had a disagreement where Cenk basically gaslit her and told her that she was crazy for saying that there were going to be concentration camps under Donald Trump. She then, you know, which is all 100% her right as a content creator and a journalist. You have to take it when you're wrong, right? It's anybody's right out there to go ahead and play a clip of me forecasting something and then being like, this guy's a dumbass. That didn't happen. That is part of the business we're in. You have to be able to engage.
And we can admit that that has happened. We have been wrong about things. It's fine.
Yeah.
Don't make that
Kamala
video.
Harris was going to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding me? I've been wrong about so much shit. I say it from the place of like, I think it's going to happen, but that doesn't mean I'm not an oracle like Gavin. I don't know when things are going to happen. You know?
I also got that wrong.
So when it comes down to that example, Cenk was totally wrong. He got humiliated, right? He got exposed after he was gaslighting her and saying there was never going to be camps. Trump announced that there's going to be 30,000 people at a new concentration camp at Guantanamo Bay. And she didn't take anything out of context. People love to gaslight you and they love to misrepresent with taking somebody out of context. Taking somebody out of context does not mean taking a clip of them making themselves look bad. Okay, taking somebody out of context is when you have somebody reading a quote and you present it as if it's something that they believe, or if they're trying to give an example, or they're talking about somebody else and they, you know, recite something, and then you take that as what it is. Or when somebody's waving at the audience and you pause it at the right moment to make it look like they're Sieg hailing to defend Elon Musk, that's out of context. Okay, taking Cenk at his word where he says there's never going to be any camps, you're being delusional, you're giving MAGA a win, or whatever the hell he said, then yeah, that's not out of context. You gave him like 90 seconds of airtime right there.
Yeah, in fact, it was actually Cenk that then proceeded to take her out of context by saying that that was from a different part of the interview than it actually was. He said she was talking about Chinese Americans in death camps, and she hadn't even brought that up yet in the interview, you know, from the clip at least that she had posted to Twitter, the one that this, you know, is all about. So it's such deep projection. Either way, this is not the beginning nor the end. Maybe it's the beginning, but it's definitely not the end of this meltdown, this crash out. I think we have a couple more tweets from Anna just about Emma to get into.
Oh yeah, right here. It's crazy. This was her immediate unprompted follow-up to her own tweets mirroring Emma Vigeland. She says, Emma, you should probably be open about the Harris campaign's ad buy on the Majority Report too. Maybe that's why you were cheering so hard for a woman who shooed away any left-wing activist who wanted to ask her legitimate questions about her foreign policy in the Middle East. And Sam Seder gets in here and says, one, that Anna Kasparian has lost her mind, but also says that this is a 100% unmitigated absolute lie. Let's make a poly market bet on it. I also believe that this is a total lie, because I would have known if there was a Kamala Harris ad on the Majority Report, we would have made content about it for sure.
Yeah, well, that was my first reaction. I was like, wait, what? That's an insane accusation to make. And for a second, my stomach kind of dropped, because I was like, Anna Kasparian wouldn't say that if she didn't have evidence. Anna Kasparian wouldn't say that if there wasn't some truth to it, that they took money from Kamala Harris and the Democrats to do an ad buy. I was like, what? How did we miss this? How did we ignore this? This is actually bad. I don't approve of that at all. But then immediately Sam Seder came in and says, nope, 100% unmitigated, absolute lie. So what the fuck? What the fuck? That's absolutely crazy. She's out here straight up making things up. Well, meanwhile, turning around and accusing everyone on the left of doing that, turning around and accusing all of her former colleagues and now current critics of being dishonest and in bad faith, when she's out here just straight up making shit up. And that's not even the first time. We also saw Cenk just straight up lie about Ben Dixon and the reasons why he left TYT. This has happened now over and over and over again. That's wild. I can't believe it, bro.
Oh,
that's like defamation. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's literally trying to hurt a freaking media business here, a company, by misrepresenting the nature of their investors.
Oh,
that's crazy.
100%. And also, the thing that is hilarious about this is that Anna was just crashing out live on TYT in a members only exclusive that you guys can see in our last video. And she is bitching and moaning and complaining about how nobody wants to get to the truth anymore. They don't care. Nobody cares about what I have. They don't care about the truth. I don't belong here anymore. I'm the only one that cares about the truth. I was a journalism professor. Oh, well, I guess you don't care about the truth so much anymore, right? I guess you're interested in playing the smear game and the throwing rotten vegetables game, and you're totally wrong about it. So it's going to backfire completely. This is hilarious. And this is how you know they are at the end of the rope. This is how you know they have nowhere else to turn. They just have to try their best to lash out and steal cachet from the Majority Report, except it's not going to work. Right? What they don't understand is the reason that the Vanguard can nibble away at them and continue to poach their argument is because what we're saying is true. And the people that we reach, they know that we are saying things that are true because they also thought that to themselves. And we respect our audience in the way that they only have disdain for their audience. They're just making themselves look worse and worse and worse. And they're never going to succeed lashing out at an audience like the Majority Reporter, hosts like the Majority Reports.
Yep. And it's not like Anna responded to this one, right, Zach? Unless I've missed something. Nope. She has not come forward to provide any proof. She has not, responded to Sam and you push back on this claim that it's a lie. Nope. It seems like she's just, retreated once again. And also people have pointed out, Zach, that these tweets came out around like 1 a.m.
That's what I'm saying, in the middle of the night.
Yeah, around 1 a.m. So it seems just like another piece of evidence that this person is deeply unwell at the current point in time. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe not. But it would seem that, if you're up at 1 a.m. posting this kind of shit on your Twitter, like, all right, bro. I mean, I remember when Donald Trump used to fire off tweets at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. I remember what TYT used to say about him and what that said about his mental condition. And now here we have Anna engaging with Emma Vigeland, at 1 a.m. on Twitter, just literally posting slander about the Majority Report. So fucking crazy.
Oh yeah, and the best response is that this comes at like 8:56 in the morning. So Emma's waking up in the morning, her phone's blown up, and she's like, "Wait, what the heck happened? This is clearly a lie and is not my reality," she says. She also says Majority Report did paid ads for the Harris campaign. Never happened. By the way, who did TYT sell their email lists to? Which is an interesting accusation. I believe Emma has shared that on our show before. I knew it was a matter of time before Anna distorted our private convos for her own agenda. It's all she's got. And again, Emma taking the high road again here, debunking the lies that Anna has spread about her and the network or show that she works for, and just kind of moved on. Right? Yep. It's basically pathetic and sad. What Anna's resorted to, where nobody's surprised. But yeah, it's pretty cringy. It's ridiculous. And it's every accusation is a confession, right?
Yep. 100%. I also appreciate the fact that she's, points out that Anna clearly distorted that private conversation. Like, obviously, I would never say that Zach or I know Emma Vigeland, but we have had a few conversations and interactions with her. And I just really struggle to believe Emma Vigeland hanging out with her friends, casually bragging about how, guess what? I never have to work a day in my life if I don't want to. Like, that just does not seem like Emma Vigeland to me. Now, it is possible that that's the case. It is possible it's the case that her family is so wealthy that she wouldn't have to work a day in her life if she didn't want to. And it is possible that in some way she communicated that information to Anna at some point. But again, that might just be the truth. And if that is the truth, what, is Emma Vigeland not allowed to talk about the reality of her life, of her family? I mean, again, isn't it more impressive the fact that she is actually doing something with her life, having a career, having a profession? If that's the case, if she could just, become a, work for her dad and set up the next fundraiser with Christian Gillibrand or something, doesn't it make it more impressive that she's doing what she's doing?
And advocating for the working class.
Yeah, exactly. But again, even if that was communicated in the first place, which is not clear if it was, who knows what Emma Vigeland said, but even if she did communicate that sentiment to Anna, that she could never have to work another day in her life if she didn't want to, I highly doubt it was in the form of a brag I just cannot see, unless Emma Vigeland is a totally different person off camera than she is on camera. Like, she's like the last person I could ever see bragging about something like that. She's a very humble person, again, from what I have noticed.
Yeah. Let me just go ahead and line by line debunk this from our own, again, selective conversations with Emma Vigeland. Obviously, her parents do well for themselves, right? She has never shied away from the fact that, you know, her parents are both lawyers. They probably work in New York City. They probably have a good living for themselves. She grew up in New Jersey. I wouldn't be surprised if they paid
Just
for
like
her
Jake.
college or something. Right. But they're also the fact that she told us, hey, TYT wasn't paying me enough to live, so I lived at my parents' house, leads me to believe we're not dealing with a trust fund Nepo baby, right? Because, and again, I have good people in my life that I know that are in a situation where they do not really have to work if they don't want to, and they choose to anyway, because they, one, don't want other people to know that they don't have to fucking work ever, and two, because they want to contribute to society and actually make the world a better place because they're not fucking psychotic crazy people, right? But they don't live with their parents, bro. They just rent an apartment that's theirs. You know what I'm saying? Those are the differences. I like when you know people who like straight up, they never think about money. Money is like, and like, yeah, I know it's bad. The world's poor. We have to do something about the environment. But like also, yeah, I kind of will still fly private on a family vacation. Those people, different than the, yeah, my parents do really well for themselves. And I went to a Super Bowl and we sat in the nosebleeds and it was one of my all-time favorite memory families. Like, you know what I mean? Just the way that I've interacted with Emma Vigeland, I can tell you, she probably grew up with bread. She probably never grew up like wondering like, oh my God, like, are my parents going to lose the house? Right. She never grew up thinking like, oh, we're not going to have food to eat. Right. But she definitely didn't grow up taking PJs to, you know, Mykonos and balling out of control from the vibes that I get. And even if she did, as Gavin pointed out, it would just be more impressive that she chose to advocate for the working class and didn't try and leverage her position to go work at MSNBC or go work and write for the New Yorker or something stupid that like yuppie liberals do.
Yeah, or just be a useless, spoiled piece of shit that does nothing with your life other than suck up resources and get DoorDash for every meal and have your servants take care of you. You know, some rich people literally don't do fucking anything. They're just a drain on resources. They just sit around and, you know, let everyone else pick up after them and clean up their fucking mess. Like, that is literally the reality for so many fucking rich people. You guys have no idea. They contribute nothing. They have no talent. They have no drive. They have no ability or even desire to self-improve. You know what I'm saying? But again, who gives a fuck? Like, who gives a fuck about what Emma's parents do or how much they make? What is the implication that she should just, you know, flagellate, like, you know, whip herself in the back with a piece of leather all day or something? Like, oh, I hate myself so much because my parents are rich and I'm on the left. Like, what is that stupid bullshit? No one wants that either. That would be ridiculous and embarrassing. But, you know, some people kind of pointed out something similar in the comments to this, Zach. This guy says, at least she's doing the work. Weren't you also jealous of Hasan? To which Anna responded, Hasan is a slave to his audience. Again, just some of the craziest shit ever coming out of this woman's mouth. Hasan is a slave. Hasan probably has one of the best jobs in the entire fucking world, guys. Literally, out of everyone in the entire world, you ask like Gen Z kids, like, what kind of job would you want? And they're probably going to describe the job that Hasan has. Calling him a slave to his audience is absolutely hilarious. But either way, I've never seen a man more terrified of the people who watch his streams. I would never be jealous of that. And to be honest, man, I'm not even 100% sure what the fuck she's talking about at this point. I literally don't like, I've watched a lot of Hasan. I've interacted with lots of people in Hasan's community. We've monitored Hasan's community and reacted to it before. I'm not even aware of this dynamic supposedly existing where Hasan is terrified of his audience and he's a slave to his audience. It seems like they have a pretty chill relationship. If anything, they seem terrified of him. He's the one always banning people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, going out of his way to like super aggressively ban people as a joke and stuff. How is he do you understand this?
Yeah, it's just peak projection, right? She understands that her audience is lashing out, and so she feels like anybody who's authentic has to have an audience that hates them, right? Whereas Hasan is authentic and has an audience of people who love him. I saw people in response to this tweet posting pictures of when they've run into Hasan in public, and he'll like dab people up, or he'll wave, or he'll like give the thumbs up to them, and they'll just be like kids in Los Angeles that get super excited, or they'll be like, here's Hasan showing up to our DSA meeting at UCLA and he bought everybody pizza, or here's Hasan paying the adoption fees for everybody at the adoption. Like, people love Hasan. That's one of the best parts about being a streamer. And to Gavin's point, yeah, it's actually the most sought after job in the world. When I was a kid, we always talked about, I was like, when I grew up, I wanted to be Matt Damon, but kids that are growing up now, they want to be Hasan, right? They want to be Hasan. They want to be Hasan Piker or Mr. Beast or, you know, Tech Fumes or whoever the fuck the other streamers in this world are. You know what I'm saying? Like, It's crazy. And this blue guy gets her ass. She says, you've literally complained on air about how much money he makes just playing video games. The jealousy is palpable. And then she goes on to throw another tantrum where she says, I made a joke once about how I'd like to just play video games and make millions, and these morons took it literally. I would rather scrub toilets than be Hasan. He's glued to a computer for 8+ hours a day, placating an audience I know for a fact he hates. He literally loves them. Maybe don't open up to family about things when you plan on trashing them later, Haas. Which is so funny because she acts like she's a member of Jank's family, right? And you know what's hilarious about that? Hasan is like the best son ever. He loves his brother. He loves his mom. He lets them live with him. And I get that there's some cultural things around that. Like, it's more common to have multi-generational households if you're in Turkey, which is where he was born and grew up. Or maybe he was born in LA and then grew up in Turkey, whatever, right? But still, I think it's badass. I think it shows that he's a really family-forward guy. I think it shows that he's a really family-forward guy, that he still has his Uncle Jank over for Thanksgiving every year, records with him, and then they go break bread downstairs, right? That is Hasan's family. You are not part of that family. It reminds me of like a crotchety girlfriend that wants to start showing up and running her mouth about somebody else's family. It's like, you don't get to talk shit. I do. You know what I mean? It's like, don't run your mouth about somebody else's family. But if I was Jank, I'd be pissed about this. I'd be like, you shut your fucking mouth talking about my nephew, okay? Because my nephew shuts the fuck up about me on the internet, okay? And we're not talking family shit.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. To act like Hasan is never allowed to talk about the place where he used to work, the Young Turks, is absolutely insane. Obviously, Jank, big part of the way he made his name at TYT was talking about MSNBC, where he came. Like, everyone does that. Part of your evolution, part of your journey as a content creator, you're always going to talk about that kind of stuff. So, of course, Hasan was going to discuss it. And I would say it's completely ridiculous to characterize what he said as trashing the Young Turks. I think that's, ridiculous. But yeah, I mean,
it's also fucking hilarious. Like, look at this one right here. Like, this person's trolling. They say you can tell how much he hates them when they walk up to him in the streets, because people had been all night posting pictures of them dabbing up Hasan. And then she's like, I know, it's both sad and hilarious. It's like, bro, they're trolling you, bro. You're getting dunked on.
Yeah. And again, it's like, I think pretty much anyone at this point, no matter how you feel about either of these commentators, you could be the biggest Anna fan ever, the biggest Hasan hater, whatever. I think pretty much anyone who's just even neutrally observing the situation would agree that Anna seems a lot less happy than she ever has on the Young Turks for a variety of reasons. And this is even before the backlash really got intense. She seems downright miserable. Jank seems pretty dissatisfied too, but Anna just seems really unhappy, and it's brought down the whole vibe over at the Young Turks. But then she wants to go over here and complain or act like Hasan is this miserable guy whose audience hates him. He's glued to a computer for 8 hours a day, as if they don't both work on the internet. Like, shut the fuck. What are you, some monk meditating out in the mountains of Tibet all day? Like, recharging your karmic chakras so you can reach enlightenment? Oh, Anna's just praying on the fucking hilltop for 48 hours on a retreat while the rest of us are all, online, just deep in the algorithms. We can't get off Twitter. We can't get off YouTube. But then when she does pop up online, she's like the most mean, bitter, toxic, angry person ever. And Hasan seemingly is not. He's seemingly pretty chill. So it's very weird. And again, a lot of projection that she's acting like, oh, Hasan has to be angry and miserable because he spends so much time on the computer. Meanwhile, you're clearly the angry and miserable one, Anna. It's probably what has led you down this dark road politically.
Also, I remember, and guys, I know this guy is complete scum. We never have anything nice to say about him, right? But even Destiny, who is quite possibly, outside of Ethan Klein, the #1 Hasan hater on the entire internet, I remember he was sitting down with Lex Fridman, and Lex Fridman was like, I want you to say one nice thing about Hasan Piker before you get up from this chair. We're going to have a 4-hour long conversation. I want you to see I want to just say, like, I want you to say one nice thing. And Destiny's at first, he's like, oh, I don't have anything nice to say about him. But then he finally relents and he says, you know what? One thing that I don't think anybody on planet Earth could take away from Hasan Piker is that he's a hard worker. He was like, and Destiny kind of flatters himself. He's like, I sit in the chair all fucking day. I grind. He was like, Hasan grinds. He was like, every single day, no matter how big he gets, he's in that chair. He's putting on a show. He's grinding. He's doing it. He has the money to travel the world. He has the money to hang it up. He doesn't have to ever work again if he doesn't want to, but he sits in that chair and he grinds and he does it for his audience. And he was like, I think you have to respect that if you respect the business that we're in. And I was like, so for Anna to just come here and be like, I'm not even going to like game this. I'm not even going to recognize that the fact that he got to the level he is because he built his audience by always being around, by always being on. What could I do? I could go hang out with Hasan. That was part of his whole brand, right? During COVID, he was always on. He became a part of these people's media diets. They consumed all of their media alongside Hasan as he consumed media, right? It's actually admirable. It's something I don't want to do. Gavin and I have had talks about it. We like doing a 3.5, 4 hour long show max. I like the 2.5 hours. I think that's a really good show for the day.
I'm already getting tired. I'm ready to call it a day already.
Yeah, Gavin's ready to go take a nap. Come back for the second half of the show, siesta style. You know what I mean? It's crazy how Hasan can last 8 hours.
Yeah,
but instead
really
of recognizing the effort and the commitment, you try and slander him for it. It's bullshit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's ridiculous. You can disagree with Hasan all you want, but don't act like all he does is play video games. Like, that's complete bullshit, obviously. There's another one here that's pretty interesting. You brought up Destiny, and this guy, Pisco, I'm not as familiar with his content. He recently followed us on Twitter, so I followed him back. Seems like a chill guy. I guess at one point he was a Destiny collaborator. And Anna, is very much so holding that against him. I thought this was hilarious. And again, just another example of how vitriolic she was. He says TYT is MAGA news, Washington Post is MAGA news, LA Times is MAGA news. And then she says, are you still sweeping for the guy who secretly recorded sex with women without their consent and sent it to other women he was trying to have sex with, and saying that these people feel comfortable passing judgment on others? And by the way, we've totally condemned Destiny. No defense of Destiny whatsoever. But again, this guy's not Destiny. This guy is someone who apparently used to collaborate with Destiny. She's trying to make it seem like he's also guilty for Destiny's crimes, to which this dude, Pisco, says, who's sweeping? We're no longer collaborating, and I issued a condemnation. Are you still sweeping for the Trump administration? Lying about the LA fire budget, lying about gangs taking over apartment complexes in Colorado, lying about concentration camps? Happy to discuss and get a load of this unhinged response, Zach. Get a load of this unhinged response. Bitch, you don't know shit about LA. Keep defending Democrat austerity in the highest tax city in the country. I can't stand people like you. No principles, just tribal blood sports. It's all a fucking game for you guys. Disgusting. Again, no substance, just a drunken, fucking vitriolic response. Again, I'm not even really sure who this dude is. He seems chill. I don't know what his politics are necessarily. But it seems like he just asked a question here, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. It reminds me of the Kendrick bar. It's like, am I tripping? Yes, I am. Don't say you hate LA when you don't travel past the 10. I'm like, Anna never travels past the 10. She don't know shit. She's acting like she's so hard. Okay, she's acting like, dude, this girl has Hollywood and Valley energy. Okay, she has Orange County energy. She does not have like LA streets energy, and she tries to fucking put it on here. Oh yeah, let me see. Oh yeah, Venice Beach, bro. Like back in my day, that was hard, bro. Like that's how she comes across now, dude. She's so tired. She's so out of touch. She's like walking around Culver City with a fucking Glock under her fucking purse because she's like, oh my god, this is a fucking war zone out here, guys.
You would never understand the realities of the neighborhood she lives in, Zach.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
The slum. Where the fuck does she live? Like, is someone gonna pull up? Like, I'm not trying to dox her, obviously, but I'm like, does she actually live in a even remotely rough area? She keeps acting like it, but I'm like, I feel like you don't. I feel like you straight up do not. I'm sorry. Either way, just insane levels of fucking crash out, and we haven't even seen it all yet, guys.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. We've got more here. Let me pull this one up here.
We don't even know where to go next. There's so much insanity.
She called out Francesca responded, and I wanted to get that guy in here, but now it's so hard to find everything because Twitter's destroyed now, and you can't have.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Okay, boom. This was based from Francesca because I think she clarifies a lot of things that people have been speculating. One, I didn't realize how long Francesca's career has gone back. I think it's because she's just aging really well, like not to be fucking like that, but I didn't realize she's like 41 years old. I thought that she was, probably in her young 30s. So she's just had a much more breadth of work than I realized, right? We discovered that she worked at Nat Geo. She'd worked with Al Jazeera. She's worked all over the place. And she says, oh, 1,000,000%. I'm nothing without TYT, even though I've never been an employee, which is crazy. And at no point throughout the entire time that they've collaborated did they feel that like Francesca was deserving of a W-2 position. That's nuts. That's fucking nuts. And I think that's shady business practices. And have an entire career before, after, and outside of it. And I absolutely did not do a I did do a hatchet job on Jake. She's being sarcastic. Everyone, please prove Anna right and see how much I deliberately manipulated this interview. I'm really hoping it's timestamped. Let's take a look.
Is pretending that we're bad bosses and we're bad to our employees and we're bad to everyone that works at TYT and we do all these things and we push them out. Bullshit. Every one of those people left and they said, oh, I'm going to be bigger and better than you. And then they viciously attacked not just me, but everyone that works at TYT. Why do you think Edwin and Bart and all those guys have been there for so long? We gave people 12 weeks of pay.
Yeah, but those seem like fake names to me.
Family.
Wojak and Soyjak have really been having a great time at TYT.
After TYT burns to the ground, we welcome Edwin and Barb to come on this show to expose you, Jink, and talk about how actually they were fearing for their lives the whole time they worked under you or whatever.
Yeah, don't sign any NDAs. Take a picture of it and we'll crowdfund as much as Jenk was offering to pay you. Gavin and I were not rich enough that we could be like, we'll pay whatever severance Jenk's offering you. Do not sign the NDA. But we have a lot of friends and we have a pretty decent sized audience. And assuming, Jenk's the cheap bastard, I think he is. You weren't getting paid that handsomely to begin with. We could work something out. So you two fellas, Bert and Ernie or whatever the fuck your names are, don't sign the NDA when you leave TYT. It's very important that you share those insights on the Vanguard.
Yep, 100%. Is that all of the Anna tweets we have? Because we're about to segue into Jake, guys. We haven't even got into Jake, but he was up this morning, just basically giving us gift after gift. He was like, "Hey, it looks like the Vanguard guys don't have a whole 2-hour show. Let's help them out. Let's get them across the finish line today." So we have a whole other fucking mega thread to go down, but I just want to make sure we're out of Anna stuff because it was unhinged.
The only thing, and I'll give Anna credit, I actually agreed with her on this, was when she was talking about how it was based that John Bolton and all the Pompeo and all the other former neocons.
Oh yeah, I think I have that right here.
Yeah, this is actually true. But it's not true the way she frames it, right? It's good.
I have mixed feelings.
Yeah, so it's good that these people, so got to take wins where we can get them. I don't actually have a problem with this tweet, right? John Brennan, John Bolton, James Clapper, and 47 other intelligence officials have been banned from the U.S. government facilities due to their national security concern. Like, that's actually, I saw a lot of people on the left tweet that. I agreed with that. I want those people far as fuck away from our government.
My only problem with this is like Donald Trump hired John Bolton. You know what I'm saying? The problem he has with John Bolton is not what Bolton did under Bush with the Iraq war and shit. The problem is he thinks these people would prevent him from illegally staying in power. He thinks these people would provide a check on his absolute power and control of the government and over our democracy. And he's worried that they're establishment enough to try to reassert that control. That's kind of what I'm afraid of, although I'm never going to defend any of these individual people and their individual beliefs or legacies.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping and holding out hope that they all get deported. So that's my hope. And I'm just thinking, I'm phase one. And so anyway, right? Like, that's all very important context that Gavin gave, but I'm just saying, in a vacuum, I don't actually care that those guys aren't a part of our government anymore. I do think it's hard to say it's a net benefit given the fact that there's new worse people that are replacing them. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like the conversation about Trump getting rid of the FBI. It's like, yeah, it would be awesome if we got rid of the FBI, but if it's Trump getting rid of the FBI, I don't think he's going to replace it with something that we think is preferable.
Right, exactly. It will be a net, L no matter what.
But I hear what you're saying. It's hard to shed a tear for
John Bolton
people. Yeah, for fucking, John Brennan and James Clapper. Like, yeah, I think they probably should be banned from entering the U.S. government facilities. But
But I think the response to this, like, people want to dunk on Anna for everything. Sometimes you have to actually think about what you're saying. Holy shit, how fucking bleak. I knew she'd be running cover for MAGA a little bit, but what the fuck is this? Like, this, I think it's harmless. Like, you can look up at like a Ken Klippenstein tweet where it says like a very similar thing here, where he says Ilhan is right, fuck these guys, I hope this list grows and the revolving door closes for good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a very fair position to have, and I think people overreacting and pretending like just because Donald Trump fires somebody means that it's like a bad thing. It's like, no, the bad thing is who he's going to hire to replace them, not necessarily that he fired these guys. But it also, you know, I think it really depends on who the audience is, you know, that you're directing these praises at, right? Like, Ilhan Omar's audience is progressive, and she also adds the context, like, you know, it's a revolving door and I hope it closes for good. We know it won't under Donald Trump, but I do think that people are trying to be like, yeah, like, it is good that John Bolton and John Brennan are out of the fucking, you know.
For sure. Bolton out, Elon in.
Yeah.
Yay.
Right. And the only reason I thought this was at all relevant from Anna Kasparian is because at some point she says that she is no longer on the left. She's an independent. And
I saw that too.
I was like,
she's like, I'm not on a left.
oh, here's another. You fucking suck, Haas. You treat family like garbage when they're unbelievably good to you. That's what scum does. I'm like, you're not in his family.
Bro, that's the craziest shit. For one, stop calling him Haas like you're Jink. I feel like if you're not part of his family or a friend, you probably should not call him that. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't that kind of cringy?
Yeah, dude. I mean, unless he goes by Haas, like I go by Zach. In which case you would have to be my family for me to not want to punch you if you called me Zachary. You know, I'd be like, what the fuck is the matter with you, dude? Like, one person on earth.
You're like, fuck, am I in trouble?
Dude, literally, like, the only person that still calls me Zachary ever is my sister, and that's when she's pissed off at me.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there.